So I got an email this morning from writer-director Philip Cook, who sent me a link to his film Ghost Planet, and it was literally right as I woke up. I read it, and I didn't have any movies queued up in the morning because I had the time this morning, and I was like, you know what? He took the time to reach out to me. I'll throw this on. I'll see what it's all about. And it's currently streaming on Tubi, so you can watch it there. So this is typically not something I would really do on the channel because this is much more sci-fi than any kind of horror. There is some like minor horror elements towards the end for sure, but this is mostly like sci-fi, adventure, comedy, that kind of stuff. So, this is about a family, two brothers and a sister, and they are this space exploration crew. And they are going out and they discover something that everyone's been looking for. So there is this like lost race that had technology and everyone's looking for it and they can't find it. And these guys kind of stumble upon it and make their way back. And they're hired to go back because they all need the money for various reasons. And so they set out on a quest with a woman who works for the company that they're hired by, and they go out to retrieve it. And of course, problems ensue along the way, adventure and mayhem. It's these kinds of films are interesting to me because like the effects that we're using here. We're using a lot of green screen. I mean, a ton of it. We're using a lot of like B-movie type sets here. Their chairs that they use for their spaceship are clearly like gamer chairs that you buy for from like Amazon or something. So but this is what I'm trying to get at. Like, this is the kind of movie it's hard to recommend because I know the second someone turns this on, they're going to see the effects, they're going to see the CG, they're going to see the acting, and they're going to just be like, this is Z-grade, bad garbage, whatever, and they'll shut it off. And it's like, movies like this have, like, especially this film, this clearly is made by someone who loves this stuff and independently went around the system and financed the film for himself and, was just making do with what he's got. And, there's a lot of effect shots in here. Like, we're not talking about just like a couple little quick snippets of effects. We're talking about like a lot of like CGI rendered like worlds and sweeping shots of the big city that looks like something out of like The Fifth Element. Not that quality per se, but not horrible either. I know some people would look at this and be like, what are you talking about? This looks terrible. It's not. I've seen terrible. This isn't terrible. This is actually quite impressive, honestly, from what the budget is. I can only assume what the budget is. There's just a lot of heart in this one. And I did like our characters here. I thought, even though I find the acting in this film to be very amateur, I still quite liked the dynamic between them. They all seemed to be having a good time, and it just felt like this is something they enjoyed making, and you can just feel that in the performances and the people, that it's just something that everyone was on set having a good time, was in on it, was really trying to make something that they were proud of. And I commend them for it, because what I was trying to get at earlier is we look back on cheesy movies from a certain time period, whether TV shows or whatnot with Star Trek, the original series, or shit, most of the Star Treks back in the day, Next Gen or Enterprise or whatever. And then you look at, Flash Gordon, or you look at so many. I mean, we could sit here and list a whole mess of science fiction titles over the years. And there's this charm to the bad effects, right? People love those, but for some reason there is something different about modern film. Like, this is true in all genres. There's something now that feels cheaper than it used to, even though the other stuff feels cheap too, like really cheap. Partially it's the fact that it was shot on actual film. I think that's part of it. I think the digital look, when not film, not when it's not like color graded and it's not being processed by professionals with the best equipment and best tools. I think there's a flatness to it that doesn't really leave an impression, and it just looks dull. This is very bright and colorful and whatever, but it still has that like digital look to it. So if you look at something older, I'm always kind of like fascinated by why modern low budget silly films are worse than older sillier films. It is kind of a fascinating subject, something I would love to cover in a video one day, and I was really thinking about it during this because, the effects in here are better than anything you're going to see in, like, the original Star Trek or something, right? Like, they didn't have anything back then, and they made do, and the shit that they have on set is super goofy, super silly. And they're really just kind of like this is like a DIY, movie set and everything. Things look 3D printed. You've got this like lamp that they've like made into some kind of futuristic flashlight, where you can see they're clearly just like these like halogen bulbs that have been like painted, and they've left a couple of the slots open to kind of give it this this unique look. And the whole set is just a hodgepodge of different like little things around the office or whatever, but they've like made them into this really interesting looking set. I mean, it's ultra low budget. You can like see the room that they're in the reflection of the visor of a helmet, where it's like it looks like they're in a bedroom in the shot, but then on the other side of the shot is supposed to be like the ship. But it, I don't know. There is a charm to it. So I liked it. This is the kind of film I can't really recommend to the channel, because I know you guys, and I know what you guys would be into. But I think if you're into like ultra low budget science fiction movies that are trying to emulate films of the past, our crew here is this like ragtag team that doesn't really feel like they're professionals. So you got your main guy here, the younger brother, who's kind of trying to go for something from like, he's just kind of a fly by the seat of your pants guy that resembles something like I don't want to say Han Solo, but that's definitely what they're kind of going for here, or Nathan Fillion's character from Firefly or something like that. And the dynamic between them is fun. Because they look like they're having a good time, and the sets are impressive for the frickin' however little budget that they had, and these huge, like, there's so many CG shots of them out in space with their ship flying around planets, and them in the big city, and everything's going around, and like every time they're walking into areas, they're on like green screen, and they're like trying to put their shadows behind them on the green screen, and the floor is all green screened and everything, and it doesn't look good. It's very like uncanny valley, very obviously fake. but somehow I found it part of the charm, which, as I said, I think that that's something that is not really true today for a lot of these films. I try to find the charm in them, but a lot of the times I fail to do so. But with this one, I don't know. I liked it enough. I definitely didn't love it. I mean, I gave it 2.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which is not a great rating, but it's an average film. But I gave it that extra points because, the film itself, I could definitely see a lot of people giving it like a half or a 1 star or whatever, and it's like, no, like there's a charm to this film. I quite like it. I could see it being like people who are like into these types of films. I could see this being kind of like a little bit of a cult classic. So, but God, yeah, I know the reactions a lot of people would have to watching this, and they would be like, this is pure dog shit. Like, how dare you even say anything positive about this movie? But I stand by it. I had a good time with it. Enough to review it and to talk about it and to say thank you to Philip for sending it to me. I think what you're doing is cool. I think it's impressive. I think that you and your crew did something that you kind of went against the odds and made it happen. This is a fucking ambitious film, man. This is such a wildly ambitious film. People are making these like found footage horror films, which I love, don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on them, but like they just grab a camera and they go out in the woods and they have people point in a direction and scream and then run off, and then you don't even see anything happen, and it's like the cheapest shit ever. This guy was like, no, like I want to make like a science fiction epic, where we're globe trotting, we're going around and we're adventurous, and we go out into deep space, and there's these different technologies and spaceships, and this race of ghosts on this planet, and it's a very ambitious film. And I love that they went for it, even if not all of it works, even if it does feel amateur and low quality in places. I don't care. I love that it was made. I love that this exists. I love that they went for it, and their passion didn't limit them and didn't make them say, like, I don't have the resources, I don't have the money, so I just can't do it. Like they didn't quit. They just did what they wanted to do. I'm sure they're super proud of it, and they should be. We can sit here on the other side of this camera and do a little quick critique and be like, oh, this isn't fucking, Marvel quality CGI and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just so easy to sit on the backseat driver bullshit that us reviewers do. I don't like to be that guy. I like to see passion, and I like to see dedication, and I like to see people who stick with what they do and achieve their goals. And I think that's cool, and so I commend it. It's awesome, and that's that. Okay, I'm just babbling at this point, but yeah, check out a trailer at least. See if all the CG. I didn't even look at the trailer. I just pressed play on it as soon as he sent it to me. I was like, screw it. Ghost Planet reminded me of Ghosts of Mars, so that's probably why I gave it a shot. And when it was on, I was my kids walked in and they were like, what is this? This looks terrible. And I was like, no, come on. It's got charm. Fuck you. I didn't say fuck you to them. Anyways, all right, guys. I'll see you in the comments. Bye.